William sounded the siren at the Hurricanes game. How cool was that experience?
It was awesome, man. I mean, as big of a Hurricanes fan as I am, it was really fun. Just have fun today.
Stay focused.
Yeah. So I mean, as much of a fan as I am of them, it was super cool just to meet Rod and met Brent Burns and Martin Nook. So it was really fun to meet those two guys. They were super personable. Didn't expect to be able to meet anybody really. I just was going to do the siren. So it was ended up being a pretty cool experience. And they start the playoffs on Monday, so it'd be nice to watch them. I know the Bruins are really good this year, but hopefully we've got something for them.
What did you and Rod talk about?
I don't remember. I was kind of a little bit starstruck, but I think we just talked about just the way that the season's going and just how they're preparing for the playoffs. It's cool to kind of get a behind the scenes of what those guys do, post game, and then how they prepare, based on how the locker room's laid out. So it was awesome.
Anything you can take away from the truck race last night in terms of the wet weather tires?
No, I mean, it looked like what we go through at the road courses when the wet weather tire starts to wear out. It just gets really slimy and loose. You can kind of see those guys have more yaw on entry and exit. So yeah, it just looks like what we kind of went through at Watkins Glen when it starts drying out.
Were you able to see Chase in the shop this week at all, or at the simulator, or was it till today before you saw him?
Yeah, I saw him at the simulator. I think we went Tuesday, I think. So yeah, I saw him then and had a good conversation, and he seemed like he was in good spirits and seemed like he was ready to go. So I think I'm sure he's excited to be back. So we're excited to have him back. It's good to have all of us back at the racetrack in full capacity. It's not been like that for a while, so it was nice to have that.
With Josh Berry doing as well as he did for you guys in that short period of time, where would you sort of rank him as sort of like, I guess, a free agent for next year? Come up the Cup, should that opportunity happen? How what do you think he would be?
Oh yeah, I mean, I've raced with Josh since late models, so he's a great driver and just has really good technique on the shorter tracks, and that carries over all the tracks. So yeah, I think Josh deserves an opportunity at the Cup level for sure. He's earned it, and he's won I don't know how many races over the last decades. So anybody like that deserves an opportunity. That's what it should come down to is the guys that win races coming up, and then translate that success into Xfinity and Cup when it really gets tough. So he seems like he's kind of passed all those tests.
And granted, the conditions were different last year when you won the Martinsville race. What are you carrying over from last year into this one? If there's anything you can, because of the different weather conditions and the time of day.
Yeah, nothing. I mean, nothing, zero. I don't think our setup is anywhere close to what we ran in the spring last year, maybe with the exception of one or two things. But yeah, we're pretty much building up from the ground up. The cars evolved so much throughout the year, but yeah, so we're just kind of take what we had in the fall, work on that. Seemed like we were really fast in practice. I think we're probably the best car in practice. So qualifying was a struggle. I don't think we had air pressure or whatever to make our car take off with speed. But yeah, here's 10 laps in is what matters.
I feel like you're like guided into
I don't know. I haven't looked at all the data to know, but it seemed like
Fox guys were pumping you.
Yeah, unless my crew chief was lying to me, our lap times were really good. So I mean, he was pumped to be back. He was amped up on the radio, but he seemed like, at first he said, come in if you think you need an adjustment. He's like, no, just keep running. Like it's good. If you think it's good, it's good. So yeah, it seemed like the lap times were good.
When you have a car like that and you feel confident, does it like kind of bring a little added pressure? Are you worried about screwing it up? Like it's all downhill from here? Or?
It's such a full weekend, so I feel like there's so many elements of the race that have to go right. I mean, I have had race cars like this, so it's just trying to lean on that experience. I mean, honestly, I think it's easier than trying to like hustle around in 10th or 15th. Like the dirt race, we weren't that great, and that experience isn't that fun.
Do you feel like you've been more, consistent with this early success you've had this year? Like last year, sort of like that lull in the middle. After starting off early, how do you feel about going into spring and summer this year after another hot start for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's so, like I said, I mean, the setups and things are so different than what we started last year. I mean, one of our wins was on a super speedway or whatever you call it, Atlanta. So, so I think for us, I mean, yeah, we had good pace last year, but nothing like, what we've had this year. So, I think we're just kind of in a different, probably more similar to 2021. Obviously, Kyle was really good that year, but we were really good every week. We finished top 10, for multiple weeks. So it feels like that.
Alex and Kyle shared that they've kind of learned something from Josh being in the 9 car over the last few weeks.
Yeah.
Obviously, a lot of drivers, not just from Hendrick, but a lot of drivers are on for Josh deserving of a cup ride. So to ask you, I guess, what have you learned from Josh? And I'm assuming you're thinking he's eligible and ready for cup.
Yeah, I do for sure. I think, he brought a new perspective. I think he just kept things simple, honestly. He just kept things kind of black and white, and that's nice to have, I think. And he did a good job, and it was nice to have him in the debriefs. I worked with him in late models. We travel together every weekend, so it was nice to have him back and be able to have that experience again.
What do you mean by simple? Like just the foundation of basic setups?
Well, I think he just honestly he was just feeling it for the first time, so it was kind of cool to see what he his thoughts on the next gen car were, because we've all kind of adapted to it, so we all know what to expect. But I think for him it was cool to see some of his learning process and kind of some of the basics that we've all grown accustomed to over the last year.